What's up, everyone? Thank y'all for joining me with Buzzing with Marlowe live. I am going to be joined with my boy, my podcast mafia, Dre on Wheels from the 11:30 podcast. Dre, how you doing, man?
Man, what's going on, man? I'm doing great, man. I'm doing awesome. I thank you for this opportunity, man, to have me here live, man, on your podcast, man.
Absolutely, man. I know we've been trying to plan this long overdue. I know I've
Yeah,
been on at least, I think, two to three of yours. So
yeah,
I promised you I was going to get you on. I told y'all it's been crazy.
yeah. We here now, and I'm excited.
Hey, man. Dre, if anybody doesn't know who you are, man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Deandre. I'm from DC. The host of the 11:30 podcast, as my guy Warren Marlowe said, he's been on the podcast a couple of times. I host two podcasts, the 11:30 podcast and my wrestling podcast that comes out every Friday.
Hmm.
I'm a chill, laid back kind of guy. I just love to chat it up with different personalities, podcasts, and just have some fun, man. That's really just who I am. And I'm just laid back. And I also got a docu series out, on my YouTube channel. So if you really want to know really more about me, then
Hmm.
you can check that out. But I'm here with my man Marlo.
Yeah,
Mm.
man. How you feel about it, man? This you don't usually get to be the guest. You're usually hosting it. So how's that
Yeah,
feel for you, man? Is it a
man.
lot different?
It's always a lot different. It's always a lot different. It just be, I'm always nervous. They say if you ain't nervous, then you ain't excited or you ain't ready for it. So I'm always nervous when I'm about to do this. And it's more even excitement when I'm a guest on a podcast. So you just never know. You just never know. So I'm excited. Like I said.
It just it just lets you know all your hard work actually does pay off because
Yeah.
like we do so much of these, you don't realize it until like moments like this, and it's like, okay, people
Yeah.
know who I am, okay, because all
Mhm.
we see is like either the plays, maybe a download, maybe a subscribe, but we don't really see the actual visual of what it's impacting or who's really following and staying in tune with us. So it's really cool just to see the collaboration with everyone now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I since podcasting, man, like
So
I've been coming. Yeah, since the podcast, man, I've been coming across a lot of different and amazing people such as yourself. So it's the journey been dope. So I love it. I'm
hmm
loving it, especially his podcast. And like you said, it means a lot. So I'm loving it.
yeah. All right,
Mm.
man. So let's start it like this. What made you want to begin starting a podcast?
Well, the whole story was that I was just lost, just trying to just figure something out in this in life, and my brother came around and he was just he was doing
Hmm.
this business. He was just trying to do some business, and I was just like, I help. I ain't doing nothing. I can't find a job, and I kind of like noticed my
Hmm.
I want to say passion or drive. When I was doing it, and I was real consistent with it, but that didn't go nowhere. So I was just like, I don't know what we're gonna do or what I'm gonna do. So he started doing sort of whatever podcast, and he was just like, "Yo, won't you do it? You'll be better off doing it. You can stay still. You got patience with stuff." And I just jumped into it, and I always kind of like seeing myself
Hmm.
doing this in a way more so with the wrestling though, because I was always a big wrestling fan. I had this show called SPW. It was super powered wrestling, where every like Friday, Saturday nights I'd be in the house. I record. I don't. It's like on my old laptop. I gotta find the laptop, but I used to record the episodes, and I was like the host. And I had before this was before the WWE Network came out, and I had like a bunch of wrestling DVDs, and
Hmm.
I would just pick matches from all these DVDs and put them together on like a 12
Wow.
match card, and I would call it Superpower Wrestling, and some of the matches, they'll be rerun over, but it just I do it for about 3 to 4 hours, and I record it, and that was just like my thing, and I just, I knew I love wrestling, and that's what I wanted to do, but far as doing the other side of it, it came with that was when I started podcasting. Not wrestling doesn't relate, to everyone. So I decided, it'd be cool, it'd be dope, if I talk about, what's trending or what's popping, or just interview people, that got something going on, and got a book or whatever like that. So that's really how that came about. And
Hmm.
December will be 2 years, and 2 weeks it'll be the 100th episode. So yo, man, it been a journey. It been awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank
That's
you. Thank you.
that's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yes,
That's
I
awesome,
appreciate
man.
it. I appreciate
A
it.
hundred episodes, bro. Gosh.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Dang, 100 episodes, man. That's 2 episodes per week, really, ain't it?
Yeah, well, yeah,
You did like the wrestling podcast and your original podcast right around the same time, right?
well, I did the wrestling podcast. I started that in May in 2020. I started that in May of 2020 of last year,
Hmm.
and the main one I started in December of 2019. And which what happened with that and started out was
Hmm.
because when I started out podcasting, I didn't know nothing about Anchor. I didn't know nothing about none of that. None of that. I didn't know. And then until I started getting in a lot of groups and just chatting with different people, networking, and people was like, people were talking about Anchor, and I just, hey, you can get paid for your podcast, like, hey, all right, I'll try it out, but I started with YouTube
Yeah.
first, so that's how that, and I was always thinking, like, maybe should I, you know, put my main podcast on Spotify or whatever, but then EB Radio came and, was knocking at me, was like, hey, man, I love what you're doing. We, be excited to, have you on, on the radio every Wednesday, with the podcast. So, hey, it worked out pretty well, and it's working out well. Pretty well.
Hey, man, you did smarter than most of us because we didn't start out on YouTube because like I literally started on Anchor and
Mm,
I think I told you this before, but I literally was just I mean, it was around COVID time, so like literally there was nothing around, nothing new to do, nothing new news. Obviously,
mhm.
we had wrestling that was no fans, so that was definitely something different. And I was
Yeah,
just like, I kept having that idea. I was like, man, I left wrestling so early. Why not do a podcast? And then
yeah,
and the only person that really made it to where I was like, okay, obviously I can do it is when I listened to Stone Cold's podcast. Like
mm,
Stone Cold's personality is literally what he was in the ring.
yeah,
Like obviously he's entertaining, but when he's like in a audio booth just talking to himself, and I'm just sitting there like, man, it must have really been weird for him at first, but you could just see how well he adapted. And the one episode that he did with Post Malone, I realized, okay, Stone Cold can do stuff other than just wrestling.
yeah,
And I was like, that sounds pretty sweet. And then I kept seeing Chris Jericho. He was talking to singers and
yeah,
stuff like that. I was like, okay. So it doesn't all have to be about wrestling. Like
yeah.
it
You're
could
right.
be different things. And that's what gave me the idea. I was like, and I see like when you look at podcasts, they always say they're a type and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to type. I want
Exactly,
something
exactly.
different. And
Mm-hmm.
I never saw a podcast that literally just talks about anything. I'd
Mm-hmm.
stay away from politics. I don't want to do that. But other than that, you could talk about it. It's all on the floor. And then
Yeah.
just like the guests would just be blown away. Like, really, it's just the topic that I'm doing my job on or something I like. Yeah, let's go. And man,
Mm-hmm.
I've been having an absolute blast. I'm on episode 78. I'm nowhere near where you're at though yet, but I mean, we all basically been going on a pretty nice little grind. I like to call us the podcast mafia. You, me, and the over the top roast with Dre Blansky. I mean, just these guys, y'all really helped me become to where we are now. Because if I didn't branch out with y'all or anything like this, or been on y'all's podcast, I don't think I really would have this much of a notary. It's just all like we all gave back some way, and like and that's one tip if any podcaster is watching our video right now is learn how to give back. Don't worry about being, oh, I need all the plays in the world. Like learn to be on different podcasts and stuff like that. That's really what helps you out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people are probably saying comments right now noticing I'm wearing a daggum Tennessee Titans shirt. It's Derrick Henry's, obviously I grew up with, but yeah,
Boo.
I lost a bet Jacksonville. I was actually at the game, and they just beat us in Jacksonville. So obviously now I have to wear this daggone Titans shirt through a week.
Oh
So
man.
so obviously I was like, I saw somebody was already referring and say, "Hey man, I like that Tennessee shirt." I'm like, "Oh man, someone already looked." I try to stay back as far as the part, and then I noticed the logos there. I'm like, gosh. But yeah, man, it's pretty cool. 100 episodes. So tell me, like, starting out on the podcast, like, what really kept you motivating you to go? Because obviously, it's not all smooth sailing when you first started out.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right, man. And before I say that though, like, you are so important about being on other people podcasts and giving back to people podcasts who help you. Shiz Lansky, I was on his podcast last week. Shout out to him. He was awesome. So like it is definitely important. In the podcast community, or like my man Warren say, the podcast mafia, to reach out and give back. But me and the podcast, man, staying motivated and trying to stay uplifting every week is I ain't gonna say it's a challenging, but it's a way that I stay uplifted is just pray. I said it on a couple of people podcasts that I say it so much
Mm-hmm.
it sound really whack or cliche. Now I just pray and never give up and just believe in myself. I just noticed that every week is gonna be
Mm-hmm.
every week ain't gonna be that great episode. I mean, you can go in it with a 100%, but you just gotta keep it moving. Got to keep it moving and just don't worry about the negative stuff. Don't worry about, oh man, I only got 5 views today, or
Mm-hmm.
like if you're doing it for the right reason, then you got your mindset on it. That's what's going to take you far. And I think another big thing that keeps me going, that people will message me about like random stuff just for assistance or help. And I'm like, okay, wow, that's cool. Or just people to just see my podcast in the groups and just be like, yo, man, I dig it. I'm trying to be in your podcast. Or, like, I like the way you edit. So, like, that stuff right there I just want to make me keep going. And I love
Mm-hmm.
it. I love it.
Yeah,
I
I
love it.
agree with you on that.
Yeah, I love it. That's why I just wanted to keep going
You
with it.
can't beat it, man.
Nope. Oh, my man, Warren, you still there? Uh, But yeah, man, you gotta stay motivated for real. You gotta stay motivated. Each and every day is a challenge. God woke us up every day to put one foot forward. And like I say, in my case, six wheels forward. So you guys, man, you gotta stay motivated. Each and every week, the 11:30 podcast on EB Radio and YouTube. So yeah, I stay motivated.
All
My
right.
man, Warren is
Yeah,
back.
man. That's yeah. You definitely have to be. Like that's one thing I will say. Like it's not easy at first at all. Like some of the like the first ones, it's kind of like a honeymoon stage. Like you're really you don't really care for the plays or anything. You're just like, man, that was fun. Like this is type of thing. Like it's I I say it's kind of like when I was wrestling. Like it's an adrenaline rush. Like when you go out in the entrance, whatever. It's kind of like that feeling. Like it's just so cool just to see who you interact with and stuff like that on podcasting.
Yeah,
And you realize like, hey man, me just doing this, I could actually talk to people that I see on TV all the time, see that are going in upcoming movies, writing books, novels, and stuff like that. So that's really cool on some of those things.
yeah.
You just recently just had an episode this week with a really awesome guest. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. I had an awesome guest that came out actually today, Wednesday. I had an awesome guest, Janine Hernandez. Janine Hernandez. She's a number one best-selling author. She's a speaker and a book coach. She was awesome. First time having her on the 11:30 podcast this week. She came on the show to chat about her new book, The Light in Times of Darkness. That's about having gratitude. I once I was reading her on her website and just reading about her doing my homework, that really stuck out. And in my journey of podcasting, you mentioned like it ain't easy, especially in the beginning, man. It was like it's rough. You always go back to the podcast in the beginning to see the evolutions. Is wild though, but just sticking with it, man, and ah. Oh man, just sticking with it in the early beginnings and far like I was saying, Janine coming on the podcast, awesome talking about her new book, Gratitude. Like I was saying, I got a little lost a little bit. But yeah, her new book Gratitude really stuck out to me because, like I said in the beginning of the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
me getting inspired and motivation. It was, I was hearing gratitude a lot. Be grateful about the little things, and don't
Mm-hmm.
worry about what everybody say. Just focus on what you got to focus on, and keep your head on track. And it was awesome. Like I said, she came through talking
Mm-hmm.
about a book that came out this Friday, and yeah, it was real fun. It was real fun, and I chopped it up about some of a couple of other
Yeah.
couple of stuff. So it was
Yeah.
cool.
Hey,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. I
Mhm.
I remember when I first was interacting with her a while back, and she was just about to start the publishing ordeal and stuff like that. So it's really cool just to see how much that's expanded and grew over the time that obviously when I first known her and stuff. And I still try to get her on the podcast. I mean, it's just a lot of things have been busy on both ends and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see her on yours because I I highly recommend anyone that really wants to branch out or really want to be on a good podcast would definitely be on Dre's 11:30 podcast. You just an open minded individual and literally you literally bring out some of the best when it comes to some of the questions because it kind of like gives me like how I do mine. You don't plan anything. You
Hey, we live here. Having some technical difficulties, man. You know,
like
one.
literally you just go with the flow. You enjoy what you're doing. Can't beat it. I mean, it's really cool just to see how well everything's grown. Because I remember we met off of a Facebook group, literally just doing a listen for listen, and
Yeah.
that was a little code name for the podcasters. Are literally just trying to be like, hey, we need help type scenario. So it's just obviously just from that type of standpoint, and just see where me and you have come now. Let's talk a little bit about the wrestling podcast, man. Uh,
Cool. Cool.
you gotta talk about it. So how was it to be on the Over the Top Roast podcast, man? I
Man,
know I was shocked because I just realized that was your first time being on that podcast.
yeah. That was my first time being on on that podcast. It was awesome. Shiz, man, is dope, man. He's an awesome dude. I had him on the podcast. Maybe what going
Absolutely.
maybe like a year and a half ago, or whatever, for the first time. It was really cool. Chopping it up with him and brought him back a couple of times. So Shiz is a really cool guy, man. We just chopped it up and just about me getting into podcasting and just wrestling and stuff and what's going on in professional wrestling now, and what a time to be alive. So and what a time to be alive as a professional wrestling fan. So it was awesome, man, being on his podcast though. It really
Oh
really
yeah.
yeah, he got some great questions. And you mentioned that I be at, man, I try. I look at other people podcasts, and people give me the praise or so, but I look at other people podcasts and I be like, man, that's good. That's good. I like that, and then,
Mhm.
I don't have all, the setup like everybody else do, be having a nice setup with the nice mics and, nice background. I try. I do Zoom, I get a mic and I chat. That's all. Like, but other than that, hey, it's fun. But Shiz was dope, man. Shiz was dope. The
That's
pod,
all we need. I'm about to start doing Zoom real soon. That's for sure.
yeah. But
I
and
like the
then
StreamYard thing because I
yeah.
mean it's pretty simple and stuff.
Yes, I like the StreamYard too, though, especially like for like
I like the
live.
video ones. I remember you really started getting me to actually start thinking about doing video episodes and stuff. And then I saw Shiz was starting to do the same thing. I was like, all right, I'm getting pretty popular now. I need to actually upgrade. I used to
Yeah,
love doing the recordings that I used to do, but it's like, yeah, I think it's time to update it. Now I'm starting to get my YouTube channel and stuff like that because now I see how y'all are growing and how everything's going. I got to
mm,
adapt. So
yeah,
now it's like you got to go and just keep revamping yourself type scenario. So
hmm.
obviously, I'm really enjoying these video chat things now because it's really cool. Um,
Look,
Obviously, I didn't want to do them in the beginning because I was doing them in my garage, so I didn't want anybody to sit and see a
hey,
professional wrestler just sitting there doing episode after episode in a garage.
look, I totally
You
understand,
know, that's
man.
got to be the bat cave.
Yo, man, I totally understand because I had a guest on earlier this year whose name was Christine Blasdale, who was really enjoying the podcast, and I just learned so much from her, and I've just stuck with just so many stuff, and took some of the stuff that she told me and applied it with podcasting. Far as like, when record, it's always best to have a video and an audio side
Hmm.
because far as audio, you listen to a lot of people podcasts, but you never really see their face. But everybody always say, "Yo, man, you do the YouTube thing." I try, but and also letting your guests talk, or just different stuff though. But
Hmm.
definitely, far as like just having
Absolutely.
different stuff as far as the podcast. So it's awesome. It really is, man. It really is.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to think because when I first started, they said YouTube wasn't the best way to go, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole different level. Like when you get on that YouTube, it seems like it more entertains people because, like, honestly, people like to see the visual. They don't want to just see a. Obviously, you can't put it on YouTube. Just put an audio edition and then like putting a picture there. That's probably relevant if you're like listening in a car or something like that. But you're
Yeah,
not gonna want to sit at home and watch obviously an audio tape just with no visual. So
exactly.
that's kind of like how I saw it. And then like I gotta ask you this. So what podcast so like what are some of the podcasters that you listen to and stuff that motivates you to keep up in your game basically? Like mine would always have to be Joe Rogan. Obviously I like Bruce Pritchard's podcast and stuff like that. I,
Mm-hmm.
I I'm that one boy I like literally like listening to all the professional wrestling podcasts because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so curious to find out what's the obliviousness that's gonna happen in worlds of wrestling every day.
Yeah, that's you know what? That's a good
Even if
question.
it's the same stuff every other day ordeal.
Yo, that's a good question though because I really can't say just one. I listen to so many different podcasters, and I think that's why I get the compliments that I do. Um, from First Take, from like you said, Joe Rogan, um, the New Days podcast. I like Coy Graves. I don't know if you are familiar with the 85 South Show. They're kind of like a comedy slash
I haven't
podcast.
listened to them yet.
Yeah, I'm just like, and then I
Hmm.
watch a lot of TV, shows or something like that to kind of like switch my game, to throw it in there and listen to certain radio shows since I'm on the EB radio to try to you know
Hmm.
match or try to up my game and challenge myself. So I'm all over the place actually. So it's a little bit of podcasting, radio, and TV shows, talk shows, TV talk shows in a way.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's dumb. But which
Yeah.
ones though? Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
beat
like
that, honestly. You can't.
yeah, you can't. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That just tells you like how much more that grind is really paying off. You gotta talk about like, has there ever been a guest that you've had where you were just like, okay. You know what I mean
Oh
by that
man,
question too.
you put me on the spot. Oh man, that is a great one. Yes. Oh man, we keep losing. Warren, still there?
I got you.
All right. Yo, okay. To answer your question though, yes, I had a couple of guests. I had a guest on, I'm not gonna say no names, but from the wrestling podcast, I had a guest who came on the wrestling podcast that did not know nothing about wrestling. Nothing, like it was so awkward. It was so awkward. You know
I
what I mean?
literally messaged you after that episode.
Oh my goodness, it was rough on that one. And far as like my main podcast, like my fiance always talk about it. She was like, I don't know if you gonna ever bring them back. Like, some guys, and they from the city, and they didn't have no shirts on. It was just, it didn't go well. It wasn't one of the favorite episodes. So and another reason besides one reason, but another reason why I wear my shades a lot is because I can make my face expression without too many people kind of like noticing in a way. And then with the when I'm using Zoom, it's on the full cam, so I like the camera to not show on me a little bit, so I can like
You gotta squint the
yeah,
eyes, try to
yeah,
cover it up a little
yeah,
bit, pull
yeah.
that poker face out.
Yeah, so woo, yes, yes, yes. I didn't had that. That's horrible, man. That's a strange position to be put in, though. I don't know. I don't know. Like, what's that all about, though? I really don't know. I mean, and they be so
Mm.
excited, especially the ones that be like, "Yo, man, I can't wait to come on your podcast, man." And then just like, I kind of like, when I get certain people who be like that and be, so amped up. I kind of like just I don't pay it no mind because I think this is probably gonna be bad.
Mhm.
It's gonna be so bad, like so bad. But hey, man, so yeah,
It's like
man.
now. It's like literally you got that moment. It's just like, like I
Mhm.
used to be that way where I'd be like, where they would tell me their job and stuff, and I used to just not even care, and I would just book whoever would want to be on. And I was like, I don't know about this one. Like, I'll give an example, which it was one of my favorite ones. It was this woman named Stacy, and I was curious because she did pageantry, and I was just like, this is not my cup of tea. Like, I'll give it a try. Don't knock it until you try. And
Mhm.
literally one of my favorite episodes. Like, literally, it was just all the story that she just said, and like literally for her to be on stage 4 cancer, still not letting it just basically tear her down. Like, she's literally keeping doing what she's always been doing. She just ran her own gymnastics thing when she first discovered she had cancer, and it never stopped her. She's still doing pageantry at age of in the high at age of 54. Like, literally her just keeping going, not stopping, and not letting it just drop her or anything like that. And it's just an awesome, awesome thing. One of my favorite episodes, just because it really just made me appreciate a lot of stuff that goes on. Because obviously, with my stepfather that goes through cancer, and just some of the stuff that we've had to witness, and obviously some of my family members that I've had in my past that went through cancer, it it's a very hard thing to do, and it's a very hard thing to keep staying motivated and realize, you know what, it could be worse. It could
Mhm.
be worse. Because usually when we hear the word cancer, we're like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
We're not even going. That's not what else you can do. But for them to keep going, stay being as positive they are, it was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I have had
Mhm.
some guests on my podcast, like how you have said, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not putting that on here.
Yeah, yeah. I done
Yeah, I'm not putting that on here.
Yeah, I done been like that, man. It's just been like, hold up, wait a minute. I don't know if this one's gonna be just, or you had a guess, like how you said, don't knock it until you try it. So I done had a variety of guests on.
Mhm.
So I done had a guest on who was just talking about I think hospitality. I don't nothing about it. So I'm just like, hey, come on,
Mhm.
see how it goes. So hey, just
Educate
keep it going.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Just never know. So I totally understand what you said about that. Just be just different random guests, man.
So what
Different
was the
random.
so was that the most awkward occupation that you've had somebody on the podcast to talk about? I
I
would
think
say the one with the sex was actually really interesting. I was a
uh
little like, I've been iffy on having a guest like that at first, just because I was just like, I don't know
okay,
how that's
okay.
gonna
Are you
go.
are you talking about the guy one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. That wasn't like you said, wasn't planned or anything like that. And oh man.
It was
Since
out of
we
your comfort zone per se.
since we live and listen, since we talking here, let's talk. Since we talking, let's talk. Okay, that
Hey, I
wasn't
want you
planned.
on it. Let's go. Unplug.
That wasn't planned. It just happened. It just happened. And we was talking about his book. And he was like, yo, I
Hmm.
want to come on. Let's talk about my book. Cool. All right, bet. Straight. And he said that he wanted to help people who been through a situation that he been through. And
Hmm.
he, was a sex addict and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, like, and I kind of like wanted to have this topic on the podcast a while back, but it just
Hmm.
never, felt in place. But it just happened. The
Hmm.
crazy thing about it is the episode was cool, but after the episode was, he seemed to like kind of ghost me in a way. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, he liked it, he liked it, and I don't remember him sharing it or whatever, but he did like it or whatever. And I was just like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
buddy, want to get your thoughts on the episode. Now, I think maybe the reason why he made Ghost Speak because of the title, that was I don't know, but and I thought that was a weird one though, that hey, but I mean, I had more ones that was weird, but that one right there, I gotta say, was a little, since you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that, was a little weird. But hey, some people was like, hey man, it's pretty interesting that you got them to talk about it. But hey, two men talking about that, yeah, it'll be a little weird, I guess. I guess so.
Yeah, I trust you. Trust me. Like I've been back and forth if I wanted to do that conversation. I know it's meant to have and all that, but it's like it's got to be the timing right, and you got to make sure you know you're in the right mindset for stuff like
Hmm.
that. Because then it's like you really have to be that open-minded character for that type of episode because you're gonna hear some stuff and you're gonna be like,
Mm.
"What's this gonna make me if I answer this question?" Like, really? Like, my man card is really getting judged today. Like, we really doing this? And it's like literally, you just want to go like that to the camera,
Oh man, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh my gosh. But yeah, talk to me a little bit. So like what are some of the things that you ask for the guests to do before they get on your podcast and stuff like that? What I would tell them to do is like all I ask because I have seen some crazy obnoxious things like people are actually charging people to be on their podcast. And I'm not at that point where I'm like, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." All I ask is you to share my stuff, obviously share the episode that we do because I put a lot of heart and work into your episode. I want to know what your opinion is on it. Obviously, yes, you obviously were there hearing the conversation, but a lot you would be amazed how many people really do love hearing a conversation that they have had somebody on and hearing their voice. Like they are just amazed because it makes them feel like a celebrity or type scenario. Like I
Hmm.
tell people all the time, you don't have to be a famous person to be on a podcast.
Yeah.
Literally, you don't.
Yeah, you don't. You don't. And one last time, because I got so caught up in what you said. So your question was about people who ask to pay to be a guest.
Hmm.
I have had that. One person, I'm not gonna say his name. I'm gonna definitely tell you this story after we get off this episode. I think this will be a very interesting one. You may see him every week or every other week on TV. But nonetheless, though, yeah, I stay away from that. I think especially when you are upcoming podcaster, and even I reached out to people here in the city where I'm at, and they talking
Hmm.
2, 3, 5,000. I'm like, hey, you know what? Hey, you good? You can keep that, but I'm just gonna work my way up or whatever like that, or whoever see me or be interested and be like, yo, I want to be on your podcast, but nah,
Hmm.
man, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you got it and you in that position, then
Take it. Yeah,
to each
take
his
it.
own. To each his own. If that's your moment, then do it. If you're looking for,
Hmm.
you feel like your show has been like on a slump, and you need that one big guest, but that one big guest is, saying, I got a price, and you like you thinking about it, but you paid on it. Like, to each his own, though. Like I said, so I just stay away from that. I pray, and I want mutual people come to me,
Hmm.
and as I come to them about whether to be on their podcast or them being on
Hmm.
mine, nah, because then when you start doing it for some money, then that's where the little tricky stuff gonna come in.
Yeah, that's where that
Yeah,
shadiness is gonna
yeah,
get there too.
that's what some shadiness gonna come in. Then a lot of people can't keep nothing a secret.
Nope.
I was talking about this. I was talking about this on the podcast. It was this documentary that I watched over the weekend. It's called Bad Sport. I saw the first episode, and the first episode was about a guy. Don't know what team it was, like Arizona, whatever team was, and it was a college. It was in college, and it was about a betting scam or whatever that they got caught up
Oh,
in.
okay.
Yeah, and the guy would just, he just kept going back and back and back and back, and he kept going back to the man who was like, "Yo, I can flip your money, and if you could fix the game, you could win $10,000 per game." Blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
So, what happened was how he kind of he blew himself up to everybody knowing what it was. It was like I think they were like undefeated or whatever like that. They had a good record,
Okay.
and they lost by like maybe 6 points, 8 points, whatever it was, and he was just going off the wall like crazy, like bro, like we good, like why are you doing that much?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
you're a college student, and then you walking around with nice cars, nice shoes, like where you get all this money from? Like, come on, man, like people don't
It
understand,
makes it
just
obvious.
yeah, just
It
being
makes it kind of
obvious with
obvious
it.
on a
Yeah,
side hustle.
yeah, just nah, man, come on, but yeah, as far as being people on podcasts, man, like I said, I just try to connect with like-minded people. That's it.
Hey, I love it, man. That's how like I treat this like how I did in the wrestling, man. I just want to give back. Like literally give some educational knowledge to some people. Like I've had an actual recent guy on my podcast, the one I just did a live with, not even last week, and he was telling me like when he listened to my All Out review, which I'm sure you would have been shocked to know that I did an All Out review because obviously it looks like I'm anti AEW nowadays. But I actually had fun doing that one and stuff, and it was real cool. And he actually was at All Out, and he was just telling me like how I was talking and stuff. He's like, he has had to have experience in the ring. The way he talks, like he has had to have experience in the ring. And he messaged me, and after he listened to it, he's like, one of the guys really thought you were just a jerk and like you knew everything. And I was like, I didn't know if I came off like that. And he's like, no, I tried to come like, obviously you know what's going on because you've been in the ring per se. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna give you my visual. Like why I love doing the ones with you and Shiz is because y'all are the fans, but y'all are getting the wrestler's outlook. And like y'all have interviewed so many independent wrestling guys and stuff, and even some real professional wrestlers. When I say real professional, obviously the big namer ones. And obviously you see that we kind of all have the same point of view when it comes to that what we call the words of in-ring storytelling, in-ring um, psychology is a big thing, but it's kind of like that same thing in life. I love the terminology of what we say. Wrestling gives you holds, but it teaches you how to get out of. And that's why I see life. You are in some big holds. Obviously, you can't have that rest spot. So guess what? You have to find a way to get out of it. So I just see that like those kind of perfect things. So you got your original podcast. Is that based off of anything, or is that certain types? I've seen the ones on mental health. You those really
Yeah,
are very well. That
yeah,
actually motivated me to actually start doing more mental health things, just so you could realize like those are some main ones that a male perspective or a female's perspective really do need, especially nowadays with COVID and everything like that. You do need that type of topics to talk about nowadays.
yeah, yeah. No, for far as the main one, it's just a variety of it. It's just like you said,
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to stick with a one topic podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of podcast charts. The biggest podcasters out there is like true crime podcasters,
Mm-hmm.
some sports, and like relationship podcasters or something like that or whatever. But I wanted to be all over the place. Whether I wanted to say something about my Ravens, winning. I'm mad you got on. I'm
That
mad you.
game.
Hey, yeah, I know, right? That
That
game Monday.
game. Oh boy, I was at a bar and we saw that missed field goal. I was like,
Man, like that. Oh man, and I'm gonna tell you the story right here, right? I'm sitting in front of the TV, I'm going nuts, and Raw was just, so I was just like, all right, bet. I just got so excited after Raw went off because it was just, woo! I
it's
felt like
all
I was just,
game. It's still a
yeah,
good amount of time.
yeah, it's still good right here. So they go for the field goal, and they is about to like win it. So I'm sitting there and I'm nervous, and I'm like, babe, watch this. So I literally get up close to the TV and I blow. I said, watch he miss it. Watch he miss it. And kick it. And he missed. I was going crazy. I was going so crazy. I said, it worked. It worked. It literally worked. Hey,
Bro,
so
that's literally like last Thursday for me with Miami Hurricanes, bro. They literally were on it wasn't even 20-yard field goal, man. I'm sitting there thinking like, man, this dude's gonna kick the field goal. We got it. We won. We came back in this game. And he missed the field goal. I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Then I go to return the channel to see what Jacksonville's doing. They lost because the Bengals made a field goal at the same thing. I'm like, come on, man. Double
Yeah,
trouble lost for me that day. And
that
then
was
I see that game. That was an interesting game as could be. I was
yeah,
like, man, Lamar Jackson's really proven like he can
yeah,
adapt finally.
yeah.
It took him a while, but he's there now again.
It was another game that this past Sunday, and man, I can't even remember. Was it no? Yeah, it was the Giants. I think it was the Giants and the
Yeah.
Cowboys game where it was like 5 missed field goals in a row. I
Hmm.
was like, yo, I was like, yo, like they're gonna fire him. They're gonna fire him. Like,
It's a tough year for kickers this season. Field goal
yo, man.
apparently is not the answer this season.
Nope. Besides, as long as besides of you, the Ravens kicker. Now, if you him, now you straight. You can kick the longest field goal in history. So yeah.
He's on my fantasy team and he's helping me 8 points a game. You don't get kickers that make it even over 5. So
No, Justin
I'm
Tucker.
sticking with PJ.
And he the man though. But like I was saying though, from like I said, sports or whether it's like movies. I said I was gonna start doing some type of like
Hmm.
movie reviews and stuff like that because when I be watching movies, I be picking like the weirdest stuff that I hate about movies. Like I hate like when it's a scene and the actors, come in the home and they never closes the door. Like they blows me. Like,
Yes. Oh
oh
my
my
gosh,
god.
that drives me nuts.
Yeah. Like
Especially
that.
scary films, man. Like, why are you going in the door? You see the noise. Like, I get it. You got to make a movie, but why?
Yeah,
You know,
like
all right. Let me just put the time frame for your death. All right, 5. I give you 5, maybe 2 minutes at the most. Two
exactly.
minutes, you get snatched up or something. Like those drove me nuts. Like I just watched the old version of it was Jason. Jason Takes Over
Mm,
Manhattan, and it was a blonde hair girl. They were on a boat. Literally, you see Jason's face. He's off the boat, whatever. He goes to pull his hand through the thing. The girl's screaming, and then she does this. I kid you not, bro. She's not even going towards the bed or going towards the door. She goes like this, moves her head back so he could just pull her hair. And I'm like, are we for real right now? Like, we
mm.
really, like, oh my gosh. This is like, it's like, oh my goodness, how many more Abby's can you be with this? Like, come
Yeah,
on, man.
yeah. Another one that get to me though, like even because I used to smoke cigarettes, so I know like when and I know it's fake cigarettes though, but when they light the cigarette and they smoke and they just puff it and don't nothing come out, like this don't make sense. This don't
They're
make
playing with
sense.
candy cigarettes again.
Yeah, they're not really stressed. They're just acting. But yeah, man,
Where'd that
like
smoke come from?
yeah, man, just from that, and wrestling obviously, and just different perspectives, man. So I love it, man. Just different
Yeah,
variety of
man.
stuff.
That's cool, man. So like I could tell you really have a passion. Like I think when you first started the podcast, you had mentioned that you were more of that big wrestling fan. Obviously, with your situation and stuff like that, did you always want to become a professional wrestler?
Well, I mean, I sort of, but I mean, after a certain age, I was like, well, that ain't happening. But I definitely wanted to be like a ring and it was this tournament. It actually they picked the winner at SummerSlam, and it was a couple of people that I knew that I was like, yo, that'd be dope. And I know it was a couple of people probably thought of me though, but the ring announcer TikTok competition. So,
Mm-hmm.
a young lady who won that was real cool. I forgot who she introduced though, but yeah, ring announcer commentary. So, that is something that I, always or basically definitely, in the production truck because I always was a big fan of, the lightings and video
Mm-hmm.
packages, because whoever do the video packages, man, they that's some good stuff right there. Like that's one
Oh,
thing
absolutely.
WWE will just I think they will always have that down pat, especially going into WrestleMania season. Like if they want to tell a story, I never forget it's The Rock versus John Cena, the
Oh
redemption,
my
the
gosh.
redemption match. And that promo was everything. Like
That's all you needed. That's
that's
all you
all.
needed. Even if they never had that match, that would have made the show. Like literally
Mm.
that video package, just seeing Cena struggle and
Yes.
struggle. And
Yes.
even with him having that divorce and they threw it in the
Oh,
story, I
yes.
was like, bruh. It made me even believe, like, even we knew it was full of crap. Like, okay, his
Hmm.
divorce, really did
Yeah.
Cena get divorced because of The Rock, but they threw it
Mm-hmm.
in there and it was just like it couldn't be at the best timing. And like
Mm-hmm.
literally it was just like, man, if this match never happened, I would have been happy. Which
Right.
obviously a lot of fans would have been happy knowing that The Rock never lost to Cena. But
Yeah.
I mean the match itself wasn't as bad, but
Yeah.
I mean that package, bro, that song, everything, like you felt for Cena.
Mm-hmm.
You were a die I was a diehard Rock fan, but I'm sitting there like, bruh, Cena lost his wife over
Exactly, man. That's me all the way though. That's me all the way. A good video package, man, tells a good story, man. So that was one thing that I was a real huge fan of. And another thing, like they only do it for NXT or maybe NXT UK, but like the opening video
Mm-hmm.
packages was my thing. That signature
Mm-hmm.
show, your signature show, and then you go to the pyro and then pan to the crowd. Like you don't even do that. You come on so lazy now, and I'm not here to bash them.
I think
It's
that's why
just
SmackDown's
yeah,
doing so well
you
now. I
know,
think that's why SmackDown's getting a lot better.
yeah, and I'm not here to bash or talk crap, but it's just I'm still
Ah,
watching. From 8 years
mic
old all
drop.
the
Go
way.
for it. Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
but it's just that was it. When you knew you saw the opening and you saw that signature for either Raw or SmackDown, specifically Raw, because I was a Raw guy, and them pyros went
Mm-hmm.
off. Oh man, I'm here for these 2 hours. I'm here. You feel me? I'm here. So so that was that.
That old school Raw theme, man, was oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That old school, the Vita Beepa, bro, I love that one. Where the one where I think it was the era where Eric Bischoff was the general manager the first year, where Goldberg first debuted and stuff. That intro, oh
You
my
talk.
gosh, that intro,
Under, yeah, I
the
think I know what you're talking
the
about.
the Vita
Underground
Beepa
Nation.
one, that one was so yes,
Yeah,
that one
Underground
was probably
Nation
by
was
far
dope.
my favorite one.
Yeah,
That was one of my
yeah,
favorite ones.
yeah. It
Man,
was.
good times.
Yeah, good
I like
times, man.
SmackDowns when they did the rap one. I love the rap song that they did when Cena really started to persuade the Thugonomics,
I think I
where
know what
they
you're
really
talking
let
about.
him throw it in there. It
Yeah, I
was
think
when
that.
I think it was when Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar were really the
Yeah,
main veterans on that roster.
that's what I was just about to say. Yes, 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 yes.
Wrestling's
Yeah,
changed so much, man.
it
So
has,
much.
man. It has, man. But hey, I'm just loving what everybody's doing right now. So it's awesome. I haven't seen you go back 10 years ago, wasn't this much wrestling on. I mean, you had
Yeah.
Impact, you had Ring of Honor, you had New Japan, and if you got it. But WWE was the only talk of town, 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got AEW, and what's up with SmackDown going 2.5 hours on Friday, and now Dynamite, I think what, Friday night they're gonna be an hour with the buy-in on YouTube. So it's like, it's so much, things going on,
I think Tony. All right, and I'm alive, so this one's definitely about to get out. I think Tony Khan's putting too much in his britches that he can overhand because literally, I saw the video where he talked mess about Raw. Raw isn't
hmm
doing that great, but SmackDown is killing his ratings still.
hmm
SmackDown is still the carrier of wrestling right now. You're
Yep.
going against SmackDown. That's why Roman Reigns is still on that brand right now. Roman Reigns is literally trying to like literally there's no ifs, ands, or buts. SmackDown is probably putting all their guys thrown into that one pot just so they know for a fact they're good. Raw, I'm curious what's gonna happen with the draft and everything other than that, but we'll see with that. How'd you feel about the draft?
The draft was dope. The draft was cool. SmackDown
Any
is
shockings?
no shock. I like the fact that I like the fact that Hit Row. I like the fact that Hit Row is still on SmackDown. I mean, that's coming to SmackDown. Um, not too many,
Shout
not
out
too
to my
many
boy
that I can
AJ
think of.
Francis. AJ Francis came a long way. That man's really. I think he's one of the main ones for Hit Row. I love it. Them boys are really showing something different, and
No.
I think that SmackDown is going to be a perfect thing for them. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's too soon. It's too soon." I don't think so. I think it's the best time to do it. They're at their prime. This is going to make them challenge themselves more. I actually just I know this is a little bit off topic. So you know how like sports, we've had Pop Warner football, we've had like small YMCA for basketball and stuff like that. How do you feel if they ever did a professional wrestling standpoint for like, say like a Pop Warner division type Pop Warner wrestling? Do you think wrestling would be so much easier and it would be so much more better because then you got straight athletes? Or are you, in my perspective, thinking like, yeah, that's too soon and they're gonna have way too many painful injuries going into that persuasion?
Maybe a little bit too many injuries into that persuasion, though. It'd be
Yeah.
real cool to see how they would go with it, though. Um, I'm not really, I'm not really too sure how it will work and play out, but it'll be interesting to see. WWE already get these former uh football and college guys that's already,
Hmm.
like 270, 280, stuff like that. So, you know, uh Braun Breaker, in NXT, he looks like a guy who came straight off of the defensive line. Like he just looks like
He
a
did.
football guy.
He did.
He
He
looks
was a
so different.
Ravens actually. He was with y'all.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he actually played for the Ravens.
oh, okay. I don't think I knew that one though. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do it though.
Yeah, I'm glad what they're doing with him. I wish his tights would be a little different, but I like what they're doing with him. And I think for the
Yeah.
Steiner Resenization, I think he's really going to represent, even though they did not call him a Steiner. I think also the reason why they done that is so he could branch out on his own, even though he's almost in that same tree where he's literally Rick and Scott all in one.
Hmm. Yeah. That'll be
So
amazing.
what are some guys on NXT that are really standing out to you that you really are getting excited for every Tuesday night or Wednesday night? Is it
Uh,
Wednesday or Tuesday?
Wednesday, and I'm gonna say Hit Row, but since Hit Row's going to SmackDown, I like Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma. I've been loving the little feud they've been having. That been
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I've been loving that. It seemed like they put the title back on Tommaso Ciampa because everybody got released, everybody got fired. That was just a safety net for him, and also he didn't want to go up.
Uh,
He didn't want
no,
to go.
I think it's just they needed that veteran mentality to help bring out these guys. Like Tommaso's done a really good job. Like
Mhm.
that match he did with Gracie, I think that is.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
really thought that was a babyface Kevin Owens for a moment. And it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
Kevin Owens meeting brother Devon type scenario. And Steven Richards when he was the right to censored type character. But
Mm.
I liked their match. It was like he really gave a lot to Gacy in that show. It showed him a good showing out of it. I think Tommaso is like that veteran in that show. Because you still got to have some veterans. You can't literally get rid of everyone. I don't
Yeah,
know what they're doing with Gargano, but we'll see on that.
yeah. That whole wedding was entertaining, though. I mean, like I said,
It really was.
those guys wanted to, don't want to come up. So, like I said, with Tommaso, yeah, they needed a veteran as a champion, but I feel as though like he didn't want to come up, and the only way to make him happy is have him NXT champion. But other than that, NXT been all right. Carmelo just became NXT North American champ, so it was it's a lot of people got feelings with it. I didn't know the contract was a money in the bank contract like that. I thought the
Hmm.
contract was gonna be like, okay, is Carmelo, he wanna, cash in his contract for an opportunity at the North American Championship. He gonna go to William Regal. He gonna, give Swerve the contract, and they're gonna sign it and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
they're gonna go for it. But I ain't like how that went though. That was real. That was
Yeah.
real awkward.
They kind of made it to where you didn't expect it type scenario. Anyways, I
Yeah,
think that's what it
they
was.
did.
I saw the highlight on that one. I was like, Money in the Bank contract. Like what? On
Hmm.
NXT when they do
Yeah,
this?
it was a little weird though. It was Yeah, it was real little weird though. I would have been fine with him just like, yo. And then I said to myself, if I was it his name Trick, man, like he always talking about Trick is about it. Like if I was Trick, I'd have been a little upset. I would have been like, hold up, wait a minute. You brought me in like 3 weeks ago, introduced me and everything, and you kind of like hinted that we was gonna take out the NXT tag team champs, but your little greedy ass went out to the North American Championship. I would have been like that. Maybe so. I don't know, but I mean, like, Hey, maybe
You
that's
know
just
what
not
booking that remind me of? It
what.
remind me of Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of gave you that type of vibe a little bit because Shawn being the selfish one to win the Intercontinental title and Kevin Nash just basically being his bodyguard type scenario. I think there's gonna be more into that story. I think it's gonna be pretty interesting to see. And like
Hmm.
so, who do you think is running the show right now on NXT? And like, if you really could change anything, obviously, I know you would change the Swerve Scott type match that they had and stuff like that. What are some things that you know for a fact that you feel like you could have improved for the viewers, for the indie fan viewers? Like, let's just put it that way. We're not gonna say the WWE fan viewers; it's the indie fan viewers.
Well, if I can improve maybe NXT a little bit more, I guess, because it's not bad. It's just now they got a whole lot of new faces on there, and now we got to get used to some of these new faces. But I mean, it's not bad. I love the new concept. A lot of people really shitted on it, in the beginning, and it was like, yo, that's
Mm-hmm.
not my NXT, blah 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 blah. It's real cool. It's nice. I said it on the podcast. If I was a random person and I was just turning the TV and I saw that it's flashy, it's colorful. I'm gonna watch, especially if I'm a little
Mm-hmm.
kid though. But um, other as far as changing, they could have. They switched everything up. But like I said, I keep everything the same. Everything the same.
Mm-hmm.
Vic Joseph has grown on me because when he first came on the scene
Mm-hmm.
and he was on Monday Night Raw, I was like, yeah, this dude ain't really it. So he grown on me. Beth Phoenix, I'm loving what she was doing. She was really invested in the whole Johnny Gargano index storyline. And Wade
That was
Barrett, man.
entertaining.
Yeah, Wade
That was
Barrett.
entertaining.
Yeah, yeah. I love Wade Barrett. So I just love Wade Barrett, man. Bad
His
News Barrett.
commentary is classic.
Yes,
He's giving
yes.
me like that British Jerry the King Lawler look, but he's
Hmm.
not like referring it to women or anything. Like he's just
Yes.
showing like that heel, but still like I know what the heck I'm talking about type scenario, and I love it. Beth Phoenix,
Hmm.
you could just tell she is absolutely enjoying being
Hmm.
around this scenario, even though you know for a fact she wishes she still could be in the ring, especially the way the wrestling is now. Um,
Yeah.
let's break the fifth wall right here. Um, what do you feel like when you see all these memes are talking about women's wrestling? Well, just what's been going on lately with all the timings of the matches. Do you feel like it's good, or do you feel like they definitely deserve a lot more?
You meaning the women wrestling and who again? Say that one more
All
time.
around, all around because I've seen memes like where everybody's been posting like time limits for matches and stuff like that, and
Okay.
obviously they're saying we're pushing for women's wrestling, but
Oh
I
yeah.
think one match literally didn't even go 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I don't think I've seen that though, but I'm right with you. I push for women to have more quality time in the ring, have more time in the ring. I don't think the women in AEW don't even get a lot of time that the women get nowadays in WWE. Because I remember back, like I said, 10 years ago, the women get in a match 2 minutes. That's it.
It would have been
Two
a minute.
minutes
It would have been a
or,
minute.
or a
It would have
minute.
been a minute. Like literally, I remember one match I think I watched was Terry and the Cat, and they literally were just rolling around, roll over the ref. All of a sudden, kind of like mess with their clothing or whatever, and then like a schoolboy or just something out of the blue, and that
Mhm.
was like their match, and I timed it was like 35 seconds. And I was amazed. I'm like, dang, you really did all that in 35 seconds. Like, I give you props a little bit because it's just like matches are so hard to keep count of. Like when they sit there and put those time limits, I'm like, are you timing it based off of bell to bell? Or are you timing it based off of coming off of entrance wise? Like, how are you timing that per se? So it's like some things, but yes, I agree. Women's wrestling definitely, I feel like could definitely go more.
Yeah.
Um, I feel
I
like that's what's hurting AEW women more is they're not getting that in ring time. But
mhm.
here's the problem: you're talking all this mess about WWE. The women are way more advanced than the women in AEW, in my opinion. Like really, the only ones that really holding the coattail right now is Britt Baker and Man,
No. Let me stop you right there. The fact that you have to think about it, that tells you a lot, right? That says a lot. It's
there's
Britt
my
Baker.
example. Yeah,
You
that's what
know,
I'm saying.
you feel
Britt
me? Like
Baker.
WWE got a hold on it. You know, like the women division or the women wrestling is taking over. You know, I was watching Raw and I was like, yo, man, like the women is way better than the men. Like the women is way better than the men. Charlotte, Becky, you know, Bianca, you know, whoever else, you know, who's on
You can
the
even
just
put
killing it.
Carmella in this category
Carmella,
now. Like Carmella is killing it
like
now.
the star
I
power
used
is
to
just with the women.
I used to like literally turn the channel when Carmella would be on the ring. Like, I mean,
Mm.
that's bad for me to say because I've seen some pretty bad matches, and it's just like just to see how much she's adapt. And like when you see the things about what Lana said, I don't know what her name is now, but where she was like, if they would gave me a chance, if I looked like Charlotte, I would have been the women's champion. I don't really believe that because she just could not work in the ring. Like really, how long could they have kept you out there and you not advanced to what you need to be? Like you have been in this background for so long, and I feel like obviously we watched the Total Divas and stuff. I feel like that was a good thing for women's wrestling as well, and a bad thing per se because it's like, all right, yeah, they can kick butt, but yeah, they're a bunch of drama queens outside the ring. Like really, like I didn't know if that really was a good thing for them, and I think what they're doing, Naomi, I think they're really pushing for a real good heel turn coming in real soon,
I
which is
can't wait
well
for that.
overdue.
Yeah, I
Well
can't wait for that.
overdue.
That'll be
They
good.
need it. She needs it. I think
Yeah.
this is going to be that moment where she's really going to stand out.
Real fast, real fast. I said it on the podcast last week. It was entertaining. I said to myself, I'm gonna stay out of this. I'm gonna see how long it goes though. But in the comments between you and Big Smash that I had on my podcast when you guys were talking about Jeff Hardy being a jobber
Oh,
and all
bring
that
it.
right there.
I
Yo,
was
I
ready
was
to break my phone when he said that Jeff Hardy was jobbing out.
I was
I'm
like,
like, bruh, did you
uh
watch the match? They went a whole 15 minutes.
yeah.
Where was there a job?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I was like, yeah. Jeff Hardy, you know, because I want people to come on and speak their mind as well. But I was like, yo, Jeff Hardy, he ain't job. He actually making, you know, who was he taking on? Damian Priest. That match was really
Damon
good.
Priest and Sheamus, they went out. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, that was one of the best matches that they've had in
Hmm.
a while. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, I literally was hoping, I was literally wishing I could just send that. I was like, put me in this with them right now. Please just add me in here, Dre. And I guarantee you, you might get a heel turn thrown in there. Like, oh my gosh, that made me go nuts. I'm sitting, I'm like, oh man, I just realized I'm commenting this on YouTube like it's a Facebook Live.
Yeah, man, he was
I was
going for
like,
it.
this is interesting. And I'm just
Yeah,
saying, I'm like, this is a pro AEW guy completely. He's one of these guys that literally you are not changing his mind. And I'm
yeah.
just like, okay, there's people that are like that. And that's one thing I do love about wrestling, and you're gonna hate about wrestling. These AEW guys, they feel like, oh, they know everything of wrestling. They think they know everything of what goes in a ring, what comes out of a ring. Those
I,
drive me nuts in ways because I'm like, and I've actually seen comments on Facebook recently on a Facebook group talking about it's you don't always need a story to build up to make a great match. I agree to that and I disagree to that all in one. Because the reason why I say that is wrestling is storytelling. The reason why independent wrestling is just to tell in the ring instead of running in promo packages and stuff. And that's one thing that's made WWE so prestigious in is because they got the video packages, they got the way to show the promos to build up these matches. Now, when you go into AEW, they're just doing matches. And I gotta ask you this: how do you feel about what's been going on with the performance and everything with Daniel Bryan? All right, we're good. Go ahead, bro.
yeah. Okay, what was your question?
What? How do you feel about what's going on with the performance and everything with Daniel Bryan? You feel like Daniel Bryan's wrestling is going to be a longevity standpoint, or the way he's taking these hits, bro? I don't give it more than a year.
See, I don't know. I think Daniel Bryan is already about to wrap it up. I think this run that he's doing. this is like final run, and he couldn't go as hard as he wanted to in WWE, obviously because of the neck situation and everything
Oh
else
my
like
gosh,
that.
bro.
The match that he had with Kenny Omega 2 weeks ago was brutal. Even the match up that I think he had last Friday night was a little, like a little tough or
The
whatever.
bumps
So
he's taking at the ropes, bro. Like
yeah, yeah.
with me
So
having this same story, like, bro, I've been wanting to get back in the ring. Just seeing all these people, like Charlie Haas, all these guys getting back in the ring, like they found their love for wrestling.
Charlie Haas
Even
got back in the ring.
yeah, bro, he's in the Independence right now. He's on S and he's now just starting a podcast, and that's gonna be really cool. And I'll talk to you more about that later on.
Hmm.
But literally, it's just these guys that are finding their love back for wrestling. That's what I love about what's going on with AEW and stuff like that. It's bringing wrestling back to a perspective, like how you said in the beginning. WWE was the only thing we've been watching on TV because that's the only thing that was on cable. Now AEW's here. You got two different channels to watch of wrestling. And
Mhm.
now Ring of Honor you could actually watch on a fight app because Ring of Honor used to be on the TV Guide channel basically. So
Yeah.
like how many people are really going to try to watch a TV Guide watching wrestling under like that's why I couldn't watch Impact because it just got too much for me in ways. But
Mhm.
the way Daniel Bryan's wrestling, and I knew it from the beginning, I was like, if he's signing with this AEW contract, he's either gonna be he's either gonna be forced to be quitting again, or it's just gonna be at that part where his wheels are gonna fall off right off the rip. Because like I'm literally thinking this is he's got a bucket list and he just wants to wrestle these guys and be done with it.
Yeah,
Because
that's what I'm thinking. It's like a bucket list, and then he's want to be done with it because you know
the
what they
match he's
doing.
supposed to have Friday night,
Yeah, what they doing with Daniel, or at least what they doing with Sting. I'm thinking they may do with Daniel. I
mm-hmm.
know like right now, I know he just coming in, and they kind of like want to push him as far as like ratings and ticket sales goes because this week's Raw was
They
like
need it. They need it. That's for sure. They definitely need it coming
yeah,
up shows and stuff.
yeah. So I mean, that's all I'm really thinking of. He just doing it for the time being, and like you said, he want to work with so many different people, and then he couldn't work the style he want to work in WWE. Maybe he was just feeling like he was just
He
people
looked blown up
wasn't
that
in
match in
control.
Kenny though. That match that he did with Kenny, he looked kind of blown up.
Yeah, he did. But I'm looking forward to it. Today is Wednesday, so I had to remind myself no dynamite today, no dynamite tonight. So Saturday night dynamite this week. But far as that goes with Daniel goes, let's see where it goes. Like it's a bucket list. If everybody was getting fired, and then the guys on Raw and SmackDown were pretty still. And then you don't have too much creative freedom. Like what more can
Hmm.
you like really do? Like so.
Yeah.
I feel for like Adam Cole. That's my guy, and whether the rumors were the rumors or whether there wasn't of him being a manager, Adam Cole, baby, he's the man. He does his thing in the ring. So I'm
Yeah.
loving it. Like I said, I'm loving it. I didn't watch wrestling or at least two wrestling companies when I was just getting into wrestling. WWFE was the only thing. So to have this
Hmm.
little, we got AEW here, we got Impact over. There's some good stuff. It's really,
Yeah.
and for the first time, I'm saying WWE is really not, well, at least,
The it no more. Like,
yeah, it's really not
and
it.
that's saying a lot for me because like I was on that part was like, man, they got a lot to go. They still do have a lot of ways to go, but they're showing out. Like they're literally putting it in. Like honestly, my book and what they're doing with CM Punk, I don't like. I think remember how I even had this conversation with you before. I was curious of what kind of Punk we were getting going into AEW, and I feel like it's not the Punk everybody's wanted. It's not the Punk that everybody's wanting. And I think obviously when Punk goes back to be his heel persona, which I know for a fact that's got to be in the works soon because that's the best CM Punk you could ever get out of a wrestler. But we'll see how that goes. But the match he did with Hobbs, I was impressed. The match that he just did with that I think it was Grace or whatever his name is. He did really good with that match. I like that.
Yeah,
But
Danny Garcia.
poor Cody, man. Poor Cody. Like honestly, the AEW idea has been the worst for him.
Yeah, Cody, man, Cody just he need to take a back
Shout out to
seat.
my boy Cody, man. Like he's really the reason why wrestling is getting the appreciation they have. Nobody is giving this man credit. Like Cody proved you can live a wrestling lifestyle outside of WWE. And that's something that I was scared of when I was on the indies. Like literally was just like we don't get that lifestyle like these WWE guys get. Like I can understand why people, even if they didn't want to go to WWE, you sign with WWE because regardless of how many times you're on the road, guess what, man? Your travel's paid, you're covered, you're making a heck of money. Even if you're not on the main raw, not even one of those main guys, you're making great money. Zack Ryder, a great example. He may have not been the main card guy, but Zach will tell you he was making millions. Like
Mhm.
literally, like you might not see him on TV, but guess what? He's got a nice house to prove it. Like
Mhm.
all that time that he loved that passion is just it can go both ways. Like I've experienced it too because like how much I bashed CM Punk from way he left WWE and stuff like that. I had that experience when I was in the Indies. Like the first branch that I was with, it was kind of like that. Like I had creative control and I didn't at the same time. Like if I wanted to go wrestle somewhere else when I had their title, it was a no. You couldn't do it because guess what? You're branding out with them. They're one of their guys. So literally, it was just
Mhm.
at that point, it's just like I don't like this no more. Like it
Mhm.
burns you out, or you literally you get hurt that way, and stuff like that. So it's just it's crazy to see like how much I give representation of Punk now because I absolutely despised him when he did all he did. Because I literally said Punk would have had that WrestleMania that Daniel Bryan is so remembered for because that was Punk's WrestleMania. That was supposed to be his WrestleMania. And
Yeah.
for Punk to do what he did, I don't know if Daniel Bryan would have been as big as he is now if that WrestleMania didn't go down the way that it did because Daniel Bryan only had what a 30-second squash to Sheamus for the heavyweight title and he was one of the hottest things going on in WrestleMania
Mhm.
and the yes thing was going crazy and you didn't hear anything really much more into it until after Punk left and there was like, you know what? Let's give it to him. Let's do this. And they
Yep.
let Paul come up with it and like, I like Daniel. Let's do it. And I see what Daniel was saying about the style that he wrestled and stuff like that. Nobody can say Vince McMahon don't care about nobody for what Vince did for Daniel. Like Vince took care of Daniel. And he would literally be adamant like if Daniel had to wrestle a real tough match, he was like, "Yeah, Daniel, you're gonna take a week off or something like that. Go spend with family or something like that." So it's just crazy to see like how everything has went on. But we're gonna see later on down the road. I know we've been going on for a good amount of time. It's always a great chat with you.
Always. I'm loving it.
It,
Always. Always.
I know. We like to ramble a lot, but I mean, who doesn't? Like honestly, it's just we're on a mic and having a good chat.
Yeah.
Um, Dre, this is I can't believe this has been the first time I've had you on here, man. It's many times that we've talked.
Yeah, first time, man. First time. I appreciate the opportunity for you having me here, man, on Buzzing with Marlowe, man. It was awesome. Awesome, 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 man. I
I know,
love it.
man. You always gave it a shout out, and I was like, man, I gotta get him on. I gotta get him on. He's giving me shout outs all the time. I gotta get this man on.
Yeah, man.
And man, it's just great to see like us podcasters are growing basically all at the same. And I do know I gotta start getting the idea of merch coming out in the works. I'm working on that. Um, I love the 11:30 stuff. I got the over the top ropes merch. I'm definitely gonna have to cop one of yours in the near future. Definitely, I'm looking probably for one of those hoodies.
Okay.
I like how those look out so far. I might have to get one of those in the near future.
I
But
appreciate it.
Dre,
I appreciate
anything you
it.
want to finish up on, bro?
Oh man, you nailed it. You nailed it. I just want to say once again, thank you for inviting me on your platform. As always, you know you're welcome anytime on the 11:30 podcast. And for everyone who's watching and listening, whether if you don't have eyes or you don't have ears, the 11:30 podcast each and every Wednesday, the at 11:30 a.m. on EV Radio and YouTube, and every Friday for the wrestling podcast. And the 100 episode is coming up in 2 weeks. And like Marlo said, get your gear. Just hit the link in the 1130 podcast bio on Instagram, and I appreciate it once again.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Dre,
Yes.
it's always a pleasure, bro. I hate cutting it off, but I know we've been going.
Yeah, I appreciate
But
it, man.
I appreciate you doing this, man. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, bro.
All right, man. I will. Thank you.
All right, later.